Hello everybody, this is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and we're back with another of our 5-Minute Histories videos. And today I'm in northeast Baltimore off of Bel Air Road, I think in the Waltherson neighborhood. And behind me is a small family cemetery, the Bittisonen family cemetery. Now when we think of Baltimore, we don't typically think of family cemeteries. I usually think of some sort of country estate out there. But we in Baltimore, in fact, do have a number of family cemeteries. We have the Smith Family Cemetery in Leakin Park. We have the Rogers and Buchanan Family Cemetery in Druid Hill Park. And out here in northeast Baltimore, we've got a cluster of family cemeteries. And that's what we're going to talk about today, 3 of those. Have to start with a quick thanks to a gentleman, Michael Allen Goodwin, somebody who watches these videos, for suggesting this topic. So thank you very much. Now, in early America, family cemeteries were not at all uncommon. In rural areas, even small towns, there often wasn't a municipal cemetery or a cemetery affiliated with a church or a synagogue. Now, in Baltimore, we got cemeteries fairly early on. In the 1700s, St. Paul Church, Old St. Paul, built a cemetery. The one that it has today dates to right around 1800. In 1838, we got Greenmount Cemetery, and in 1850, we got Baltimore Cemetery. Neither of those are affiliated with any particular church or denomination. But still, out here in the country, this was part of Baltimore County, farms and fields. A number of families decided that they would bury their loved ones on their own property. So let's jump in and talk about the first one that we're going to mention, which is the Gantrum Family Cemetery. It's also here off of Bel Air Road, just north of Herring Run Park. And it is a small cemetery. It's got a nice iron fence around it. It needs a little love, but it's there. We don't know exactly how many souls are buried there, but we know of at least one, John Gantrum. His headstone says 1903. We know that Mr. Gantrum was a judge in the Baltimore County Orphans Court. This was still part of Baltimore County from 1880 to 1888. In fact, came from a long line of judges, 5 generations before and then carrying on after him. We know that one of those was a chief justice on the Baltimore County Circuit Court, and one of his descendants, John B. Gantrum, donated land and really led the effort for what we today call Gunpowder State Park. So thank the Gantrum family for that. All right, let's jump into this one, the Bittisonen Family Cemetery. Behind me off of Forester Avenue, again in northeast Baltimore. It's got about 75 graves, so bigger than the Gantrum family one. The land really got started as a development in 1700s by a land grant from King Charles to the Bergen family, but then a gentleman named Abraham Bittisonen married into that family in 1810 and took over this parcel. One of his sons, John Bittisonen, was in the Maryland State General Assembly during the Civil War, spent much of the time in jail as a Southern sympathizer. And another Bittisonen family member, Thomas Bittisonen, was Baltimore City Solicitor in the 1950s. I'm going to wrap up with the Bittisonen family by saying I bet you won't be surprised to learn that the Bittisonen family and the Gantrum family intermarried. They were all kind of the same family. All right, jumping quickly to our last cemetery, the Christopher Family Cemetery. It's also off of Bel Air Road here in northeast Baltimore. I want to say thanks to archaeologist Lisa Krause for doing a bunch of great research on that a number of years ago. We're not sure how many Christopher family members are buried there, maybe a dozen, maybe dozens, but we know of at least 2. James and Sarah Christopher, their headstone is there. James, the date on it says 1899. The property, though, at first was surveyed back in 1724 by a gentleman named John Royston. It was called Royston's Study. But then a gentleman named John Christopher, a lot of Johns here, in 1733 bought the parcel and set aside about 3/4 of an acre as a burial ground. And there were lots of Christopher family members buried here. Interestingly, one Christopher family member who is not was a drummer boy in the War of 1812. I think he's in Loudon Cemetery. But in 1851, the Christopher family sold the lot off but retained the right of access so they could visit the folks, family members buried there. But that arrangement only lasted for a year, because a year later, a gentleman, Elijah Christopher, bought back 2 acres, including the cemetery. He was a wheelwright and carriage maker, and this property was along the Baltimore and Hartford Turnpike, of course, what we call today Hartford Road. That was a good place to be if you fixed tires back then. And it remained in the Christopher family until 1962, when sadly they lost it at a tax sale, and a private property owner got it. Several years ago, the property owner proposed to remove the souls who were buried there and build houses. Now, if you're thinking that sounds like, can they do that? Well, the answer, sadly, is probably yes in a lot of circumstances. Graveyards are not guaranteed to be graveyards forever. Just south of here in Clifton Park, the St. Vincent Cemetery was really just demolished, is now being restored by a friends group. And the Laurel Cemetery, a historically black cemetery just south of here, also paved over for a parking lot. Now a friends group is trying to bring some dignity back there. But here at the Christopher Family Cemetery, family members and neighbors really objected, put up a loud protest. And I'm happy to say that today it still maybe needs a little love, but it is still very much the Christopher Family Cemetery. All right, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.